to clean toilets? How would that work?
Believe it or not, there are going to be plenty of people out there that have always wanted to be garbage men, that have always wanted to clean sewage, you know. You'd be surprised. I mean, for all we know, this brother here wants to be a bellhop. We should probably ask him, you know. But the thing is this, let's say for instance, by some fluke, by some astronomical thing, let's say for instance that you're hard pressed to find enough people who want to get into sanitation, who love sanitation enough, you know, to the point where they want to do it, they love doing it. Here's what you do. You get a commercial. You do what the military does. You put a commercial out there, a recruiting commercial. You have some Scarlett Johansson look-alike talking about, oh my, whatever shall I do, the party's in an hour and the toilet's still stopped up. Smash cut to a Johnny Depp look-alike and a Brad Pitt look-alike with no shirt on. Door swings wide open, and they walk in amidst fog, you know, in slow motion, with some industrial house beat in the background. And they're, you know, stepping like a natural man towards the toilet. The Johnny Depp look-alike, you know, he's got like a sponge and a rag, and then the Brad Pitt look-alike, he's got like a big old plunger. And you see them slow motion the toilet plunger, you know, and in the background you got the Scarlett Johansson look-alike, she's going, oh my. And then, you know, the goal, of course, is to have it where, you know, at the end of the commercial, you're sitting there going, oh my God, I want to clean toilets for a living. The military has been doing it with recruiting ads since day one. If they can do it, we can do it. You know, you'd be surprised. All things boil down to hype, to popularity, to advertising. You get enough folks to want to do something, thy will be done. That's always been the case. Always. I mean, in the final analysis, we never leave high school. There are three types of people in the world: the bullies, the nerds, and the beautiful people. And it's all a matter of what's popular and what's not. That's how elections are won. That's how revolutions are fought. It's all about popularity. Is a leader or is an organization popular enough to get the masses to follow them? It's the same as it ever was.
What about the jobs that too many people want to do, like movie star and, you know, what about that? How do you deal with that, of too much of a demand for those kinds of jobs?
There's always something for somebody to do. You know, I mean, the claim is that America is a meritocracy. In other words, only the best rise to the top. Well, clearly that's not the case. But in an ideal society, it would be a meritocracy, in which case those who ain't got no business being a movie star would fall by the wayside. But then again, they wouldn't be homeless either. They would have the opportunity to find something similar. My dream job is to be a radio talk show host. But in lieu of that, I'll take storytelling. And even though technically speaking it's settling, quote unquote, I don't mind. I don't mind, you know. And, you know, insofar as, you know, the hierarchy of things I would rather do, storytelling, what I'm doing right now, is a really, really close second. The margin between being a radio talk show host and being the kind of storyteller that I am right now is so close it's not worth mentioning. So it's the same thing with, you know, the surplus. If you have a surplus of folks that want to be a movie star, and you get a bunch of folks who don't want to be, you get a bunch of folks that for whatever reason ain't got no business being a movie star, then you simply say, well, hey, how would you like to be the grip or the gaffer? How would you like to be assistant director or second unit director? How would you like to be, you know what I mean? There's a role for everybody. And that's not even a question of faith. It's been proven time and time again. I mean, you know.
What are the ones who, like, you know, just want to be celebrities? What would happen to them?
They will either make it or they don't. And if they don't, then at least there will be a minimum standard of living for them to subsist off of.
Do you believe in, like, basic socialism, but then also competition would still exist?
It's just like in Scandinavia. You know, I mean, one of the great crimes in human history is trying to forcibly associate socialism with what happened in the Soviet Union. That's like saying that the only form of Christianity is the religious right and those fundamentalist Christians. God, no. No pun intended. You know? I mean, it's like, hell no. if the only form of Christianity that exists is Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell, then is it any wonder you've got so many heavy metal fans that are sitting there going, you know, into you know, satanic rock and whatnot? I mean, yeah, there has to be highlighted, mind you, again, hype, popularity, fame. There has to be a spotlight shined on those that provide a better, a more positive, a morally superior role model so far as what Christianity is capable of. Same thing goes with communism. There are as many different types of Christians as there are grains of sand in the beach or stars in the sky. And the same thing with commies. There are as many kind of commies as there are Christians. There's a wide variety out there. The problem is only the bad get famous. Only the bad get that hype, that spotlight shine on them. That's got to change. So from now on, when you think of communism, don't think of the Soviets, don't think of the Stalinists, think of Scandinavia. Because the Scandinavians, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Holland, these folks have got communism right. They understand that there is a balance between the individual and the collective. And only by achieving that balance do you have true communism. You know, any commie going around saying, well, we have to censor Fox News and we have to murder the Bush administration, they're not real commies. But then again, Jim Baker and Jimmy Swaggart are not real Christians either. You see what I mean?
What do you think about, you know,
it's a question of representation versus misrepresentation. And imagine if you're a Christian and all the time you look around and you're being misrepresented by all these fundamentalists. It's the same thing if you're a real commie, if you're an actual socialist, and everyone's association with the word communism is Stalin killing a bunch of folks, well then, it's the same exact frustration. A real Christian will look to say, oh, what's an example of true Christianity?
Jesus.
The food banks. St. Mary's. You know, clearly a bunch of Christians run that thing. That's a textbook example of what Christianity is supposed to be. But when people say the word Christianity, St. Mary's Food Bank isn't the first thing that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is some televangelist talking about a 80-foot Jesus or some nonsense like Oral Roberts was talking about. All right? Again, representation versus misrepresentation. Same thing with commies. When you think of communism, don't think of the Soviets, don't think of the Stalinists, think of Scandinavia. Because again, Scandinavia got it right. Rock bottom low poverty rate, but at the same time they are just as much free expression as we have here in America.
Well, what about when they arrest somebody for being homophobic and put them in jail?
Well, they shouldn't do that, you know. But see, here's the thing, though.
Good answer.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The answer is not less speech; it's more speech. So, in other words, you don't bust folks. Germany does the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly, Germany has a thing where it is illegal on paper to espouse Nazism. Now, that's not. It's well intentioned, but then so is Stalinism. That's not the goal, though. The goal is to have it where, okay, if the Nazis have an audience of 1 million people, then you need to have their opposite number with an audience of 2 million. As much as I hate shitty BET sitcoms and thug rap and bling bling rap, for every million people that the bling bling rappers reach, I want KRS-One and Public Enemy and X-Clan to reach 2 million people. Do you see what I mean? Again, it all boils down to fame. It all boils down to hype. It all boils down to popularity. And it's all a matter of making sure that whatever it is that you're putting out there reaches more people than the opposition. So as far as busting homophobes, no, you don't legally arrest them. That's just wrong. What you do is you make sure that your audience is bigger than theirs. Again, the name of the game is fame. That's the bottom line.
Add the tape.